evening and welcome to ET Now Startup Central, India's first and only daily show dedicated to startups, technology and entrepreneurship. I'm Chandra Shrikant, coming to you live from India's startup capital, Bengaluru. It's Friday, it's also the beginning of the new month, so we have to bring you up to speed with who raised what for the month of October, how this stacked up compared to the previous month. If you just look at the headline numbers that we have, October 2018 saw about 45 deals worth $661 million. This is of course according to data from Venture Intelligence. Now compare that to September 2018, which saw 46 deals worth nearly $2 billion. So it's a huge drop in terms of the total amount. Though, you know, in terms of the number of deals, it's somewhat similar. But if you look at the year-on-year comparison, we're actually much better off compared to October 2017, where we saw 38 deals worth $198 million. You know, what does this mean? Was September then an aberration, or are we seeing some seasonality kick in? Because, you know, this month there were also a lot of holidays. Some festive season has kicked in. Are we going to see the trend change in November? For all this and more, we have two guests joining us this segment. We have Arun Natarajan joining us live from Chennai. We also have Anand Lunia, a founding partner of India Quotient. Now, India Quotient has seen some exits in ShareChat as well as Hola Chef. They've also been extremely active in segments such as local languages and fintech. So we are going to get perspective from the person who collates the data, Arun Natarajan, and someone who actually invests that money, Anand Lunia. Thank you both of you for joining me on Startup Central. I'm going to start off with you, Arun. On the face of it, you know, this is a huge drop compared to the previous month. But if you look at the year-on-year comparison, we've actually done way better than October 2017. What would you sort of put this down to? And in terms of stages, have you noticed any pattern? Because NASSCOM last week spoke about how there's a genuine strain as far as the angel funding segment is concerned.
Absolutely, Chandra. This is really a strong month. If you look at it, on a year-on-year basis, we are up 3 times compared to the same period last year, and twice in terms of the number of investments. So clearly, a few deals, especially the late-stage tech variety, the likes of Zomato, dominating. Again, Byju's as well raised, quite a bit of capital, $100 million from General Atlantic, and we believe there is more to come. So clearly, the late-stage investments are doing very fine. And it's actually heartening that for 11 continuous months, the value of investments has been above $300 million. So there is no worry on the mid to late stage growth capital, whatever you call it, segments. But as you said, the challenge, if at all, is in the really early stage. Angel deals have been bouncing around at between just 20 to 25 transactions a month, and that continues in October. And this is just half of even what we saw in the early part of 2016 even, right? So forget 2015. So that is definitely a worrying sign, and seed capital firms seem to be slowing down as well, just 10 investments in, and it's been like that in the last few months as well. So that really, if at all, is the pocket of concern.
Right. Anand, welcome to the show. And, apart from ShareChat, one other exit that we saw from the India Quotient Fund is Hola Chef. What does this say about the overall trend in food tech? Last week, we got the global CEO, in fact, earlier this week, we got the global CEO of Uber Eats, Jason Drogi on Startup Central. They're also doubling down big time in India. So now you have, on the one hand, you have Zomato, Swiggy, then you have Uber Eats, Ola, Food Panda, and then you have the likes of a Fresh Menu, a Cloud Kitchen. So what sort of broader sense does this say about food tech? Are we going to see more consolidation perhaps as far as this segment is concerned?
Chandra, I think I see it as an expansion of the market, right? 3 years ago, we all thought that this market may never take off. I think the market is now ready for the next stage. Right now, people who do not have access to home food are ordering in from Swiggy, Zomato, Ola and Uber and many others. I think in the next phase, we'll see people stopping to cook at home, because you already have good quality food available from many providers. Going forward, I think we'll have more platforms. Some of these players like Swiggy and Zomato may become more like horizontals, and we'll see emergence of players like Hola Chef or Fasos and Fresh Menu, which will be more like brands on top of these horizontals.
Right. Arun, one part that I still want clarity on is, was September 2018 an aberration then? Is this going to be the average for the remaining 2 months of the year?
Sure, festive season means a lot of activity as well. We've seen that in the past. Aberration wise, if you look at it, 2018 September was a real big month. We saw OYO just raised 1 billion, right? So out of the 2 billion, one company accounted for 1 billion of that, and then you had 4 more investments of 100 million plus, including of course ShareChat that Anand knows quite well about, right? So in that sense, then there was Udan, and then there was Grey Orange Robotics. So September was indeed an outlier of a month. I wouldn't call it an aberration, but we are increasingly seeing some of these big ticket deals kick in, and I don't see why that would slow down at all at this point. It's looking quite rosy on the late stage tech, especially part of it, with other sectors also kind of clamoring for investor attention.
Right. Anand, if I look at the trend of your own fund, some of your recent investments such as Upwards, Vocal, you've been fairly active in local languages as well as fintech. Is that going to continue, or are there some other sectors that you will show interest in, some of the other emerging areas that you want to invest in going forward?
Well, so social media has done very well for us after ShareChat and Clip, right? And Reposo also. And we have a local, which is a local news app in Andhra Pradesh. We also have an audio social network called Kuku. We like finance as a space. So, of course, there are lending companies like LoanTap and Upwards. There is also a small business accounting app called Vyapar, which is more like a tally on mobile. The first one, they are able to charge 1,000 rupees a year for a mobile app, probably one of the highest paid apps in the country. Besides this, we see a lot of space in brands, Chandra. We've recently invested in a brand called Coolberg. Coolberg is a non-alcoholic beer. We are now seeing that again, you may notice that we are trying to do things which are a little bit more unique to India. And while of course there are non-alcoholic beers in other countries also, but India is a very unique case of non-alcoholic beer, because a lot of people, a lot of kids and youngsters also don't drink, but they have the need to socialize, need to be a part of having fun. Right? In the same space, we are seeing one thing that is opening up now, Chandra, is social commerce. We are seeing a lot of companies which are trying to sell socially using social media and social contacts and friends. So you have group buying, you have buying on chat, you have buying by and selling by influencers. So that's a space that we are liking a lot.
Right. Arun, you heard out, the sectors that Anand is going to be bullish on. He's spoken about social commerce, but broadly, what trends are you seeing? Is it continuing? Do the trends around fintech, health tech, ed tech continue? Are you seeing a lot of interest evolve in local languages, social commerce, social media built for India, like how ShareChat has taken off? Any broader trends that you see in terms of the sectors that VCs are investing in?
Oh, absolutely, Chandra. So, including social commerce, e-commerce was really competing with fintech all these months. but just October, we've seen health tech, overtake both these sectors and account for 7 investments. And we saw even the previous month, September, Pharmeasy raised a strong $35 million, from Fundamentum and others. So this month, 2 more e-pharmacies, have joined, to raise, follow-on rounds of funding. One is, of course, Health Cart, which has raised, $10 million from Sequoia and, other investors. Then you had Medica Bazaar attracting investments from existing as well as new Japanese investors. And then, we've seen more Let's MDs, online doctor consultation, and we've seen quite a few companies in that sector also attract investments. So health tech has really come into its own, at least in October, and the last couple of months included have been quite strong for that sector. Fintech has been a darling, especially the lending segment in the previous months. Maybe that's taking a bit of a breather, but not too much, right? So we saw Clear Tax raise as much as $50 million. Then we saw Cube raise money. Then we had Ind Wealth raise money. So basically, strong, investments ticket size wise in fintech, but the volume has come down to 5. And EdTech, thanks to Byju's and Topper, raising money, has also joined the top 3 list in, October at least. So this sector rotation will continue, but the top 5 kind of remain the same, at least, as far as we see it.
Right. And then finally, if I look at the kind of funds that are investing, just last week we spoke about Composite Capital from Hong Kong making its India debut with Clear Tax. And if you look at the month of October, one of the most active funds has been Fosun. And apart from that, in previous months, you've seen the likes of Shunwei being very active, Xiaomi being very active, basically a lot of Chinese names, Hong Kong funds investing in India. How is this playing out, and how are these investors different from the first crop of investors that we saw making a beeline for Indian startups?
So, there was a little bit of, a slumber in 2016 and 17. But last 12 months, we are seeing a lot of investors from overseas, particularly China, right, who have stepped up and sort of filled the gap in Series B stage in India. And some of them, like Xiaomi and Shunwei, have even invested in earlier stages. And we see that as a very healthy trend. In the last 2-3 years, the market has accepted by and large that India may not only be emulating US, but maybe emulating China market even better. And probably hence Chinese investors have a little bit of an edge in investing in Indian companies compared to investors from US and Silicon Valley. I see it as a welcome move. I see there is room for all sorts of investors from outside India. We are also seeing a lot of homegrown investors and new VC funds opening up. And as you've noticed, a lot of new funds have formed and have raised large amounts of capital. I think 2018 will go as a year of disruption. The hierarchy in the VC space has changed now. I think the market has no clear top 3-4 leading funds right now. It's all up for grabs. Next 2-3 years, we'll see actually which VCs will be at the top of the table in India.
Right. Thanks for that perspective, Anand, in terms of the disruption that we are seeing even in the kind of VCs that we are seeing in the Indian startup ecosystem. But on that note, thank you so much, Arun Natarajan as well as Anand Lunia, for really decoding the key deals and the key trends as far as the Indian startup ecosystem is concerned. October, on the face of it, looks like a good month if you look at it from a year ago perspective. But on that note, time to take a break on this leg of Startup Central. We'll come back with more a conversation with Walmart India Chief Krish Iyer, his take on data localization, and also why Tim Cook is bullish on India despite Apple reporting a flat quarter here in terms of sales. More on that on the other side of Startup Central. Welcome back to ET Now Startup Central. As promised, a conversation with Walmart India Chief Krish Iyer. My colleague Rahul Dama caught up with him in Vizag, where Walmart is making a big investment. Apart from the obvious questions around Flipkart, the road ahead, we also asked him about their take as far as the draft e-commerce policy is concerned, their concerns on that front, and also what they make of the government's diktat on data localization. Now, interestingly, while Walmart owned, Flipkart owned, PhonePe has very strong pro views on data localization. It doesn't look like Walmart is all that okay with this policy. Let's listen in to what Krish Iyer had to say.
The B2B e-commerce is something we got into in June 2014, and since then it has progressed very well. We have had good double-digit growth as far as B2B e-commerce is concerned. When it comes to synergies with Flipkart, there is certainly an advantage in terms of sharing best practices of how a platform is built or how analytics is done, and we learn from them as far as Walmart India is concerned. I think with these two aspects of synergy, we believe that we can continue to grow a B2B business also rapidly.
Grocery is a big focus area for e-tailers. They've realized that it's everyday touch point that you have to cater to. You have a strong point, so to say, local sourcing norms, private label also has been growing significantly. So it'd be natural that, Walmart would also help Flipkart in its grocery operations.
I think it's a bit too early, and currently the focus is on just sharing best practices. Flipkart continues to operate independently. It's a board managed company, and we continue to focus on our bricks and mortar cash and carry business as well as the B2B e-commerce.
Is Walmart sort of open to a larger B2C play in the grocery segment, grocery food?
I truly believe that focus is really important. And only with focus, as you can see, our focus has not been to go all over the country, even with cash and carry, bricks and mortar. We have chosen a few geographies like Andhra, Telangana, or Maharashtra, or Punjab, Haryana, or UP, Uttarakhand. And with these 3 or 4 clusters, we are focusing on increasing our presence and penetrating these markets.
So, but the entire the Flipkart acquisition also, we've seen trader bodies sort of intensify, their opposition to the deal, to Walmart's presence really. Would you be engaging with them differently? What's Walmart's India plans? Because local sourcing has been on top. Did you really expect the sort of opposition that came by?
95% of what we sell is sourced within India. Nearly 18% of that, 18% of what we sell is sourced from within Andhra Pradesh. And we source nearly 15% of what we sell in our stores. 15% of what is locally sourced from Andhra Pradesh, we buy it from MSMEs. So the focus on small scale and medium enterprises is big. Point number 2 is that nearly we have 1 million members all over the country who are either kirana shops or small hotels, restaurants, caterers, or offices and institutions. We really grow the ecosystem of kiranas. Our mission is to help them prosper, help in their business.
The big debate on data localization. We have seen RBI take a very tough stand, asking payment companies to ensure that data is here in the country. Government has said, according to sectors, will leave it to particular sectors to take a call. What's your view, sir?
We have always in this country, and with the opening up of economy, we have operated in a manner where everyone, the Indian businesses and the foreign businesses, foreign investors have felt safe in operating this environment. I think keeping that broad framework in view, if suitable policies for data privacy protection are created, that will be beneficial for everyone.
Okay, you heard out Krish Iyer on his take, But what does the Confederation of All India Traders, the CAIT, make of data localization as well as e-commerce? They've been vehemently opposed, of course, to the whole Walmart Flipkart deal. My colleague Swati Garg caught up with CAIT's Secretary General Praveen Khandelwal for this interview. Listen in.
It is for the RBI to develop more infrastructure in comparison to the companies which are available in India and those who are working for collection of data. But anyhow, till the time that infrastructure is developed, at least there has to be some kind of beginning. So let those companies share their respective data with RBI for data localization.
So the whole narrative being built around the usefulness of the digital payments, don't you think that is getting hampered due to these data localization norms?
That is why we have demanded the government to make a distinction.
Yes.
Because ultimately when payment system, particularly in an international transaction, if a card is compromised, then fraud can happen. So therefore there has to be some kind of distinction, and the companies who don't have real-time data should be absolved of the responsibility to comply with the dictates of RBI.
And what do you have to say about the draft e-commerce policy? This hasn't come into effect fully right now. So what would you have to say?
The e-commerce policy should come. And the first draft came around 4-5 months back. Till then we have not heard anything. So we have requested Commerce Minister to consider it as one of the foremost obligation of the government, and to get the e-commerce policy ready and implemented in a time-bound manner, so that these online companies cannot do their own dictates in exploiting the consumer.
Okay, over to the big earnings, and Apple's earnings did not go down too well with Wall Street, particularly because of their underwhelming guidance, and also because they've said that they are not going to disclose the unit-wise sales of iPhones going forward. The stock not doing too well on Wall Street, but what we were looking forward to, of course, are the India portions from Tim Cook. Now, Tim Cook has said that he's very bullish on India. He's also lauded the government for, bringing in a lot of reforms, and he's confident of bringing Apple stores here, even as it's saw its India business coming under pressure because of weak rupee as well as rising import costs. Now, Tim Cook has said that he's very bullish on India, its people. He expects the Indian government to allow them to bring Apple stores into the country very soon, and that the government has focused on reform in a major way and made some very bold moves. But he did admit that currency weakness has been part of their challenges in India, which is why they reported flat sales here in the past quarter. So that's clearly Apple's take on India. They haven't had a great run, though Tim Cook's been very bullish about the long-term prospects. We have to wait and see if the government and Apple are finally able to see eye to eye as far as Apple stores coming to India are concerned. But on that note, we come to the end of this edition of ET Now Startup Central. Thanks so much for watching, and stay tuned to ET Now for more news and updates.